Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, on the 29th of September to an anime story podcast. My name is Jake. I'm one of your hosts. To the right is Mandy. To your right is Mandy over here. She's one of your other hosts, and Noah is just below me. He is your last host. The last host. Today we're going to be talking about... gotta update that. We're going to be talking about Yuri on Ice. So let me doop. Yuri on Ice. Alrighty. So, first of all, hey Mandy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Fabulous. I'm fabulous. Noah, how are you doing?
I am swell.
Mm-hmm.
It's good times. Got my cat.
Always need the cat. Alrighty. Well, so we watched Yuri on Ice this week. An interesting recommendation. I don't know where it came from. Noah, was that? I guess it was lots of people.
It was the internet recommended it to me, and the internet
It's
pitched
never
it.
wrong.
Yep. They simultaneously believe and disbelieve in everything all at once.
That is how the internet works. Well, Mandy, so what are your overall thoughts on Yuri on Ice?
Overall, I really enjoyed, especially the second half of the show. I would watch another season of it. There were some parts that I felt like drug on a little longer than I would have liked, and so it was hard to keep my attention, especially in the first few episodes. But then I loved the artwork. I think they did a really nice job blending the CG with the actual drawings, especially the tears. I thought those were really nice. They were very well done. So overall, I really enjoyed it. What about you, Noah?
I liked it overall, though I am still bitter at the internet for the way that the internet pitched Yuri on Ice to me.
Oh yeah, this is... Go, no,
Am I talking? Are you talking?
Yeah, no, go ahead. Tell us, how did the internet pitch the Yuri on Ice?
The internet told me that Yuri on Ice was a romance about gay ice skaters.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I think this is first of all a vast oversimplification of this story. That's one of those like, hey, pitch this thing to me, and they come up with the simplest, like, it's something about this and this. Yeah.
It's also drawing attention to elements of the story that aren't important to the story.
Exactly.
Like the fact that the characters are gay. That's not relevant to the story.
Yeah.
The story could be fine with, like, regardless of that. And, like, it's more... And it's not even...
Well, okay. So... Go ahead, no. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Even calling it a romance is kind of interesting, and I'm not entirely sure how to feel about that, because I'm not sure how I feel about the messaging of the show and what they intended to convey. I would say that it is I guess it's a story about ice skaters and the concept of love, and they happen to maybe be gay.
So that is an interesting thing, because that's kind of how the internet pitches it, and I think it's just like, it's a thing where it's drawing attention to the wrong thing. It's not it's not a thing where I'm like, it shouldn't matter that, what their orientation is. That's literally irrelevant to the story. It's like pitching the Lord of the Rings is, it's about this character who's a hobbit who is from a hilly region.
In a world where people don't understand hobbits.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't matter that Frodo is from a hilly region and that he likes backgammon. Like, that's not what the story's about. So pitching it as a story about gay ice skaters is like literally the story. You could actually almost watch the story and be not entirely sure whether or not they actually are gay, because there's almost like the way that they do it. There's a lot of moments where they get really close. There's a lot of very suggestive things in it, but they literally don't actually have a romance. You know, you could say figuratively they have a romance, or there's a very heavily implied romance, but it's just like it's kind of irrelevant in the story. I think it's about characters working through. Mm-hmm.
It is, by and large, almost entirely implied stuff, right? That we can't be certain of. Like, if we were doing a scientific study, we would be like,
love?
We would be like, there's nothing we can do to prove that any of the characters are gay.
Yeah.
Because...
Yeah, no, and really, I think the main characters... The main character, his struggles kind of with his own, like, self-doubt and his own, like, struggle against, competing because of his feelings of kind of not being good enough, or, feeling like the stress of the arena, feeling like he's kind of over, even though he's 22, but I guess that's... can be old for an ice skater, for an athlete.
I went in wanting prejudice. There was no prejudice.
Yeah, well, no, when that's the way it's pitched, you think it's going to be like a taboo thing and everybody's upset about it, and it's like, oh, well, actually it's not. Nobody cares. It's like, oh, well, that's good. I mean, that's fine. But it's not the story that I went into, or that's not the story that I thought I was going into. So, and that happens a lot. People mispitching a story. Go ahead. No.
I would like to bring up, halfway through the show, at the end of episode 6, the speech given by the protagonist.
Right.
How relevant do we feel that speech is to, like, the message that... Like, is that speech kind of the message that the creator of the show wants to convey? Mandy, what do you think?
I have a lot of thoughts bubbling around that. Bubbling. So I felt like the message was more of a love for the ice and the rink, and I felt like it told that story very well when they were on the ice. I've watched a lot of figure skating, and so even when he does the speech, I felt like it was him finding his love again. Like, why was I doing this to begin with? And that's kind of his, like, flame for it, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that was it's much more prevalent theme. Maybe they're, doing all this, like, very suggestive romantic stuff, or this stuff that is suggestive of romance to kind of parallel, the love that he has for ice skating and competing, but that he's kind of broken from it in a way.
I kind of think that with the speech and the things the main character says, it's not so much about ice skating specifically. It's just about loving the people around you, and specifically the people who support you, right? Because he says at some point, I think he says during the speech, that he had a hard time accepting support from other people, and that it is not something so abstract as romantic love, but he wants to call it love, right? And that the idea of supporting people is love, and that is what the protagonist wants to convey through their ice skating. And really, all the main characters do support each other. I mean, I guess that's Yuri, Yurio, and Coach, whose name I forget and then remember randomly. Victor.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Good. Interesting themes. The way that it was put together was very interesting. Something I wanted to talk about is the opening credits. I really liked the opening credits. At first I was a little bit, they're all right. And then after a few episodes, I was like, I really like these. I love the figurative stuff. I love the art. I love the line work. I love the color. Love the motion. And as an artist, I can appreciate the like figurative motion of the skaters. Really catchy song, especially after you've listened to it like a few times. And I was saying the only thing I don't like necessarily about the credits was how like a minute and 15 seconds it repeats the same artwork again, which is fine. It works. I kind of wish they would have just kept going with new stuff.
And like my thought on that is I love the intro. I think it's gorgeous and wonderful. I wasn't so bothered by the repeating, but like like in an age in a modern setting, a lot of people watch episodes back to back to back.
Yeah.
People go through the entire season at once rather than one episode every week. I mean, Netflix releases entire seasons at a time because this is a thing that people do. And when watching shows in that format, if there's anything wrong with the opening, it stands out more. If it's repetitive, you're seeing it so many times so frequently
you're seeing it
that
every
that's
25 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I will say that the reason I bring that up so much is because I really like the opening credits. I like the motion. I like the art and the color, the figurative stuff. I like the song. I like what's happening. I like the dance of ice skating that they're doing, and it works really well and it's cut really well. And then the words for Yuri On Ice come up, and then it repeats. And I feel like if it had kept going or kept doing something else and didn't repeat, it felt like it just felt like they wanted to tack something on to the end, and they just didn't have time or money, or they just maybe someone made a decision and liked it. But I think if it had kept going, it would probably be one of my favorite opening credits of the last probably couple years, probably, that I've watched anime. There's been some really good opening credits in the last few years, but it's really good. If it had kept going, I'd have been like, wow, like no matter what I thought of the show, those were good opening credits. I enjoyed the hell out of those. I watch the opening credits every time. Go ahead, Mandy.
Okay. I just wanted to say that the reason I liked the opening credits was I thought they were very witty. I feel like from beginning to at least the minute and 15, it had a good story flow.
Yeah.
Because it started with just Yuri, and then it built to 2, and then it built to 3, and it was this collaboration that was happening. I even liked the in-between, like right before it repeats itself. I thought that was very beautifully done. I liked the overarching story even in the intro, but like you said, it repeats itself, and they don't necessarily feel that was necessary.
Even if it had like cut itself, like if they'd cut it right there, and maybe they wanted to have the whole song in, which is reasonable. It's a really nice song. It works. It fits well with the story and the theme and the tone. So maybe that's why. It was really good, and I wish it had just been a little bit. If it had been just a little bit better, I'd have been great.
You like the sketchy watercolor look to it is just.
Oh yeah, no, that's wonderful.
Very
wonderful artistic opening. So gotta rank that very highly. But the character design. Noah, do you have any thoughts on the character design?
One thing they do with the character design that is interesting is they effeminize all of the male characters. All the male characters are made to look very effeminate. They intentionally, some of the costumes, right? Like the character specifically states that this costume was meant to give the appearance of either a man or a woman. It's not certain. And like Yurio, for example, like you mentioned this when we were watching it. You were like, Yurio looks like they could be a lady. They didn't have such a deep voice.
No, seriously.
Like, and then I was like, I couldn't unsee it. I was like, no, yeah, they intentionally make a lot of the male characters, not all of them, but a lot of them, very, very effeminate.
I actually think with Yurio, I think if you change the voice actor, but if you literally muted that one character, you would just assume that and you of course change the pronouns. Everybody refers just like neutral pronouns. You would assume that was a woman. that Yurio is a female character, just because of incredibly effeminate looking character.
They gave him such a deep and masculine voice that I never questioned it.
No, exactly. But without a voice or with a different voice actor, especially with the costumes, which I don't know what most ice skating costumes are like. I don't know if they are all unitards with sparkle on them. Yeah. Hey, great excuse to wear a sparkly unitard.
I will say, I liked the asymmetry of the costumes because the eye is drawn to asymmetry, and I thought that was cool. I assume that's something from like actual figure skating that I've just not seen before because I don't watch figure skating. I am a little sad that we didn't see like masculinized female characters.
Yeah, they could have done, they didn't. I ended up watching a few clips of ice skating in the Olympics, just to take a look at what like it actually looks like when it's not
every year. They're great.
It makes me so happy to see the actual clips from the Olympics and the person starts crying at the end, and I'm like,
yeah, that's fair.
It's like Yuri on Ice.
Exactly, anime's real.
Oh my god.
But yeah, no, that was it was interesting. So a thing. Okay, so a thing we were discussing. We have a short discussion before the podcast starts about the things we want to talk about. One of the things that we were talking about was how in the middle of the story there's a little bit of a lull. It feels like it slows down a lot. It feels like it's kind of not going anywhere. Now, of course, the story is going somewhere, like they're competing and there's a contest, but it feels like nothing for the characters is really happening. They're just kind of existing and they're just doing this and that. It doesn't feel like anybody's driving towards anything. And I think one of the things that the reason I'm going into that is because I don't watch ice skating. I've never watched ice skating.
You just said you watched clips.
I did watch clips. I've started. I'm a new convert apparently. But when the contests first started, or when they start doing these contests, I don't know how the rules work or how any of the scoring works. And there were some episodes mid-season that kind of did a chibi explanation of it. But I think one of the things that helped contribute to the lull in the middle, and I think there were a couple things, but was that when they were competing, I didn't know what the heck was going on. So they were just like, there was skating, and then there was a number, and I was like, okay, higher numbers are good. And so not knowing exactly how it worked made it kind of, it felt slower just because I didn't know what was going on. And later on, when I kind of understood the thing more and how this contest put together, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they're doing this and they're scored for that, and so that helped me along a little bit. Go ahead.
May I make a point about something that I feel they did very, very well, which they had to build to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But initially, they have all of the characters mucking up their jumps and tripping, and they have Yuri at one point slam his face into the wall of the arena and get a bloody nose and keep going. And this is super good because they do this, and then later on, Yuri stops flubbing his jumps and smashing his face into the side of the arena, and it gives the audience like a real visible means of understanding his progression and how far he's come, because we're watching and we're like, is he gonna flub a jump? Is he gonna flub a jump? He didn't flub a jump. He didn't flub the jumps. And so that was a very effective tool that, granted, they had to build, and so it wasn't effective early on and it wasn't effective in the middle, but at the end it was successfully effective in conveying to the audience visually the progression of the character.
No, yeah, I would agree with that. Mandy, yeah, so I was saying something about the rules and not knowing the rules and then learning the rules. And you looked like you wanted to say something. Was there something you wanted to say about that?
Well, I was going to ask, did you understand how they got more points at the end and why?
How they got more points at the end and why. So like,
yeah, so at the end of their,
oh yeah, so that's something I kind of didn't understand, because Yuri, I think his total score was in like the 300s or something like that, and so the first round was out of 100, the first time he did it, and he's out of 100. And the second time, I don't know if it's out of 200 or if it's out, I don't know, but he got some amount of points.
I assumed they were adding together the totals from each round.
They do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So basically, during your program, you have 3 different types of skating. So you have to do a free skate, you have to do a combined, I think, and then you also have to do a short program. And in your program, you have 2 sides of it. So even during the whole dance, the whole figure skate that they perform, the first half is considered, you don't get as many points for doing like triple luxes or quadruple luxes or any of those. During the second half, when your stamina has gone down, you get scored higher for doing them at the end. So that's why that they had to change his program, because they wanted him to get more points.
Right.
So he got more points if at the end of what he was doing turned into the jumps, because at that point they know you're exhausted. So it shows that you're able to handle more.
Interesting.
And that is a very, very common.
And then one that they said a couple times with Yurio was he had his arms out when he did the jump, or he had his arm up when he did the jump, which is harder, so it's more points.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and once there's like a little bit more clarity on those things, and also so early on, I think we were all saying that we felt the ice skating scenes were all a little bit more drawn out. And there was also, I think there was less narration in some of the earlier ones, not all of them, but some of the earlier ones, there was less narration. It was more just watching the person skate, maybe with a little line here and a little line there.
What they did a lot of was, and I don't remember if they did this later on, but they had a number of times when someone was skating, and one person had an internal monologue that we followed, rather than switching between multiple people. It was one person thinking about what was going on. I think later on we had the person doing the skating. We were in their head and no one else's the whole time, which got a little bit strange when they threw in a bunch of side characters who were like, "This is an action movie. I'm the protagonist with the gun."
Yeah, some of those were kind of interesting. Yeah, and he was like going through his little like story in his head, which I mean was fine. It was just kind of weird. Like I guess it worked. It's the story that he was making up for his skate.
I think that was his biggest want. They were trying to get across that this is what drives the story forward. If you have a lot on your mind, you're not focused. So you can't focus on the skate, so you have to focus on exactly what you want, so that you can convey that to the audience. You want to share that message, and all you have is your dance to do it.
Right.
And so I kind of get how they were trying to explain that, but I didn't necessarily feel like
so
it needed to go on.
They definitely had some kind of theme thing in there, an idea that the people who excel are able to do so because of something, because
I think one of the things that they do to they're trying to emphasize is that the people who are really doing the best are the people that are less focused on the competition and being competitive, and they're more focused on the being, the expression of the thing that they're doing. Like it's about, Yuri doing this romantic sensual thing, or it's about Yurio doing this, like the essence of what his thing is, huh?
I don't think it's that. I think it's tying into that central theme of love. I think it's the people with relationships that they care about, that are doing it for other people, that are the ones who succeeded the most. Like, we see characters go out there, and like guy with a weird unhealthy relationship with his sister, when he's doing it for his sister, he's doing it so much better. When Yuri is doing it for Victor, he is so much better. I think it's more along those lines.
Interesting.
Because he's doing it, because he's in action, he's working moment to moment. So those make it more interesting because they have this centralized, like, they're working in the moment. When they're not in the moment, that's when they fall.
Right.
That's when they hurt
It's
themselves.
flow. It all goes back to psych class, Jake.
That's the way it all ends up back there, which then all ends up back on the internet.
How do you guys feel about the side characters, half of which didn't make it to the next episode after they were introduced?
You know, I liked some of the side characters. Some of them the ones that I don't know, the ones that didn't make it. I don't. I remember there was the guy with the like action movie story, and I don't really remember him. I don't really remember him very well. A lot of the characters, like the Swedish guy, had a very interesting skate. His theme is fascinating.
Who's the one who did like the parrot costume? That one was really good. I liked that. That whole skate. I don't know if you made it through. Like, sometimes I felt like it was hard to tell which character was which.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I was
agree.
like, wait, where are we?
Yeah.
Wait, who?
Yeah. Was this?
I will say, King JJ. Initially, I didn't like him, but when they brought him back and expanded on his backstory, I was like, all right, King JJ, you can be best girl.
Yeah.
King JJ nominated for best girl. I'll have to think about it. Maybe. Yeah. So the characters. Okay. So here's one of my problems with this story overall is I feel like a lot of times it felt kind of unfocused. It felt like there was a competition going on, and I don't know why I'm supposed to care about the competition. And there's this kind of story with Yuri and Alexander, and this weird coach / something relationship that they have.
I was saying, I don't think that Yuri and Victor's relationship is so much a like coach-student relationship, because Victor's not really a coach. I mean, he's kind of like Yuri's coach, but like if we see the other coaches in the show, each of them has a whole bunch of students and they're doing the coach thing, and we know that Victor is like maybe 5 years older than Yuri, and Victor is
They say he's 4 years older.
4 years older? Okay, so my guess was close. He's 4 years older. He's basically a peer of Yuri, and he's never coached before. So it doesn't feel like a coach-student relationship.
So
he's also not getting paid. He's also not getting paid.
That's fair too.
Yeah, I think really the thing about it was it's not even so much that he wasn't really a coach. It was just like the middle part of the story. I didn't feel like a lot was going on. Like I don't know what Yuri's motivation in the middle was, because he was kind of like battling his inner, demons of self-doubt and this, thing that he has for Yuri. He's trying to figure out, and there's nothing that's really pushing him in a direction. I mean, he's going to compete in things, but I think that motivation wasn't really strong enough to feel like it was propelling him somewhere, so it felt kind of stagnant. Later on, it gets better, because then he starts trying to, he has this thing that he's kind of fighting for. He has this relationship with Victor, whatever that is, that he is kind of working for, and he also has kind of decided he wants to win this competition. And he also now has a bunch of the kind of secondary characters that were in the middle who didn't really feel very interesting. Some of them have reappeared, and they've been expanded upon a little bit, and they also want to win. And there are some interpersonal relationships, like with Yurio and Yuri, that are now working against each other, because Yurio kind of leaves, a little bit after the first part of the show, and so he's kind of just gone back to Russia. And so when he reappears, and they now have that like kind of rivalry-ish thing going on, that's an interesting kind of conflict, that they're in a competition together, and Yurio has something to prove, and obviously Yuri is trying to beat him, so there's more conflict. The last bit was a lot more interesting. I think the lull in the middle had to do with kind of a lack of driving motivation and lack of character conflict. Gesundheit.
I would say, I think that the cause of the lull was initially, I would say this show set itself up very, very well initially to look like it was going to be fantastic, right?
I
They
agree, actually.
introduce a whole bunch of characters. They introduce conflict immediately. Victor flies over to Japan. Yurio comes to Japan. There's this whole big thing. Yurio and Yuri are directly in competition with each other, fighting each other. We have all these side characters. And then what happens? Yurio goes back to Russia. Yuri no longer has conflict. Victor no longer has conflict. No one is able to drive the story forward, and all those interesting side characters we got are for the rest of the series only used to show an audience for what's going on. None of them really interact with the story after that, right? Like Yuri ends up leaving, and the side characters that we got introduced to, his family and all the people around there, mostly are just sitting around watching the skating.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, because there were some interesting like family characters and stuff that we didn't really see again.
I thought the girls were cute. I thought those
the three little girls.
Like they were so inspired.
Yeah.
They were cute. They were some of the like most active, most influential side characters on the main story.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting. So I think that Noah's gone dark.
I know, he kept doing that.
I think I just
Go, Maddie.
I just wanted to say, not just the three little girls, but I had a thought. The side characters, they had, oh gosh, what was it? I lost it. Keep going.
So yeah, I feel like
they'll come back.
Yeah, the side characters, the family, they just kind of. I mean, for the rest of the story, they were kind of in the background, and then of course a lot of the skaters they weren't introduced early in the mid story. A lot of them disappeared, and then later on when they reappeared and started actually like developing more, that's when I think it picked it back up again. Noah, you had a question?
Did we mention the conflict yet? Did we talk about like how no one really feels like they're in direct competition with each other than that initial arc?
So it feels like, so I think it feels like there is a competition, obviously, because they are competing in an ice skating competition, but it doesn't feel like they're really in conflict with each other. Mandy, you remember your thing?
I did.
Go ahead.
So, no, the dog. So the whole scene where the dog happens, and he has to go back to Japan to take care of the dog. I thought that was an interesting twist because it kind of gave him a reason to have to leave.
Yeah.
And then it kind of motivated Yuri to have to do this performance without him. And so it definitely, I felt, drove it more in a way.
No, that's interesting. I completely forgot about that bit with the dog. Huh. Yeah, no, that was, I mean, yeah, is an interesting moment. I think was that the first time that Victor he was gone after, like, was that the point where Yuri started realizing how much Victor meant, or like the.
I think he already had that relationship because I think it was like episode 7 about. I can't remember exactly, but it was interesting because he just, like, it gave him a reason to push himself even more.
Right, yeah.
And he didn't have that, and he's like, I need something like the ring. Like, the ring is like a substance that he can use, so if he doesn't have him again, he has something that's theirs, that they share. Because I think he kind of looked at Victor like a good luck charm to him, in a way.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, that is an interesting relationship, the one between Victor and Yuri, because it's almost romantic, and it's almost like a coach relationship, and it's almost like a mentor, almost a but close friend. Like, it's not quite any of those things, but it's very close to all of them.
Good. Speaking of relationships, did we want to talk about unhealthy relationship with the guy whose relationship with his sister is very unhealthy?
It's very unhealthy. Yeah, that was weird. Yeah. That was very weird. He was and his
the whole backstory too. Yeah. Like even from when they were little. Like I get it. Like okay, your brother and sister, that's great. Yeah. But then he sends off all of her boyfriends, and she's like, "I'm gonna start dating."
Yeah, and the like. I don't know why. I don't know why, but apparently that's a thing that sometimes happens in anime. Is siblings will have a weird and then they were talking about the rings that Victor and Yuri get, and he's like, we should get those. And it's like, no, you shouldn't. That's really weird. That's very inappropriate.
I will say, I think that, like, I'm fine, right, with like okay, they're siblings. I don't care. Like, you can go Game of Thrones style.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Do what you need. Yeah,
it's good. I think the reason their relationship is really like bad and not good is not that they're siblings. It's that the male character in that relationship is incredibly jealous, right?
Oh,
it's like, okay, they're obsessive, okay, they love their sister or whatever, but they're obsessive and jealous, and so they like kind of strangle the other character with their love in that they are like, you can't, like Mandy was saying, you can't have a boyfriend, no one can be around you, you are only mine.
So even if we're like barring all of the like Game of Thrones, whatever, first cousin marriages, that even if we throw out all of the like baggage that goes with that, it's like, no, this is a very jealous relationship. You've got some problems. Like, you can't be treating people like that.
I don't care if they're your sister or like
don't get your sister, your cousin, your wife,
Well, and it becomes unhealthy too, I think too. Like, we see it more when he's like, you can't date, you can't do this, but then he also like, she's like, no, you gotta leave me alone, you gotta do your thing and I gotta do mine. Like, she's very clear about that. And she's still proud of him, and she's still his sister, but she's like, dude, like, no.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Much. And I think, maybe this is also one of those things, like one of the themes of the show is the nature of relationships. Interesting. I don't know if I got like a big overall thing out of like the theme of like the different relationships and, what that means and what love means, because love, that's a big theme in it. I don't know exactly what I got out of it, but there's something there.
Yeah, there's definitely like and maybe the writer just wanted to convey like different forms of love. Maybe that was a big thing, was like romantic love, non-romantic love, like love for a sibling, I guess you can call it love. And like all these different types of love, like I think that's just a essential element that
it was an interesting element. You probably look at all the characters and figure out that they have some kind of shtick with that going on, that each of the characters has some kind of love relationship.
I would like to pitch a topic and ask you guys,
all right,
how would either of you pitch this show if you were to pitch this show to someone?
Yes, because saying it's about gay skaters is kind of not perfect. It's less. Who
would you pitch it to? Who do you think the target audience is for this show? Who do you think you'd be like, these people would really enjoy this show? Is there a group? Is there a type of person? Is there like do you know, like, oh shit, I have a brother who would totally love this because he loves stuff like this.
People who like to watch figure skating in general. I mean, I love that element of it, because I do watch figure skating and I enjoyed it. I do like that some of the terminology they didn't hit on which is, I get it, because people who don't know it would be like, okay, why are they using all this terminology that I don't understand?
No, that's fair.
But that got me a little. But I would pitch it to that, and how I would pitch it is I would say that it is a men's figure skating competition, that you go through the ebbs and the flows of dealing with competition, love, support, and life. And I would say that that how that affects you directly, and how that can also be an inspiration.
Yeah, no, that's I'd probably do something relatively similar. If people like figure skating, if they like figure skating and anime, perfect.
Exactly.
And probably just as I'd probably pitch it as figure skaters in competition, and the main character Yuri dealing with his own problems, his own demons, his own problems with relationships of all kinds.
Yeah, there's definitely a struggle he has with his like self-confidence and
and just something about the different kinds of human relationships. So a figure skater who, whilst dealing with his own personal demons with respect to figure skating and artistic expression in figure skating, and also dealing with the relationships he has with other people, and what that means to him over the course of a competition. That's probably what I would do, because I think that's relatively kind of the shtick. How would you pitch it, Noah?
Oh my god, I don't even know. I'd be like, there were people and they skated and I didn't understand the sport, but it was kind of fun. And there was a character who was clearly played by a female voice actor, even though they were a guy. And I was like, that's a little weird, because usually it's only done with like young kids. And I was like, cool. And it was a good show. So you should watch it.
This is a horrible pitch. But if it came from you, I'd still watch it, Noah. Just so you know. Well, yeah, no, it's interesting. I enjoyed a lot of it. Good music, I think. A lot of the music was really good. Again, intro music was really good. Overall, it was okay. I would say overall for me, it was all right. I'm not stupendously interested in figure skating. I didn't find the characters super compelling. Later on, I was like, yeah, that's fair. I'm glad that this ended out the way it did. I think that was good. Yeah. So I was happy for the characters at the end. Liked the intro a lot. Almost loved the intro. Liked it a lot. Almost loved it. I'd be very interested. Again, like the art was great. I'd be very interested to watch something else with the same artists.
Right.
Because it looked great. I mean, it looked. And you mentioned the tears, Mandy.
Yeah.
You like the tears. Yeah, some anime do super big tears, I think, or in like rivers of tears. I thought the tears were good. I liked the balance of tears. I like the style of tears. There are people walking outside my window.
I like that they didn't overuse it either.
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, they didn't overuse this. I'm glad, because a lot of the time tears get overused in animes.
Oh yeah. Because it's about, look at how sad this character is. There
was something I forgot about, but I want to mention now.
Okay.
We didn't get Victor's backstory, did we? We didn't.
Not
he didn't
really.
get expanded on.
Not
There was
really.
no.
He was a skater and he had a career. He won a bunch of stuff. I don't know where he's from. Maybe it mentioned like the town he was from. He's from Russia, yeah. But maybe I don't know.
He competed with Yuria.
Yeah.
Yurio. He competed with him the year prior.
Yeah, we got like a little bit of kind of immediate backstory. Obviously, he's from Russia.
But that was not a whole lot.
Not a lot of stuff on him. Yeah.
Okay, we do get Yurio's backstory. Mm-hmm. We get some of Yurio's backstory. We get some like tragic stuff with his like father or his grandfather, and his mother's not there.
But I
don't really remember.
With his grandfather.
I mean,
that was interesting.
That was pretty good, but also Yurio. like his behavior, was his behavior ever justified really? Because he's very confrontational, very like aggressive.
I feel like his behavior being justified. I feel like he was 15. He's 15. He's in a hyper competitive thing. I feel like that's fair. You know,
Yes, yeah.
a character like Bakuko is, I feel like, more justified, but that's because it's like you get a lot more backstory and you meet him before he's in the Hero Academy and he has a very specific goal. I get the whole, like, you're a figure skater, you're 15, like you're hyper competitive and that makes you angry, and you're 15, so you're angry anyways. Like that's totally reasonable.
Something else.
Mm-hmm.
The cuts to commercial
with the food,
I thought those were jarring. I thought the artistic style of the food
very different.
was
very different.
Too different. It was jarring every time we had a break cut, and because I was like,
I kind of got it, because I guess it's, you know, because Yuri likes food.
Right.
It was I don't know. Yeah, it was kind of weird.
Like Noah said, the artistic style was just kind of jarring.
It was very jarring, yeah.
Because like at first I was like, is it a real plate of food?
Yeah, I know, right?
It looked like it was.
There were a couple of them that were really realistic, yeah. But
hyper realism on some of those.
Yeah, and I think one of the things for me that, like, when there was the food there, like, the thing that popped into my head every single time was, oh, it's time for a snack. It's commercial. Let's go get a snack. That's it.
That's fair.
Yeah, but
maybe that's why they did it.
Exactly. It's a commercial. Go grab a snack. That's a bad idea, by the way. That's a lot of snacks.
That is a lot of snacks, especially if you watch on like
Hulu.
You binge watch so many snacks.
Oh my god. White hair.
Oh,
I think so. The white hair. I think the white hair is like a Japan depicting, like, oh god damn it, I need to change the timer on my thing. I think it's a Japan depicting like people with hair so blonde that it's white, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
Is that it?
So, yeah, no, I think that is kind of a thing. You know, it could be an interesting a thing about depicting people who have super blonde hair, but like, do Russian people have really white hair? I don't think they do. I thought they had darker hair.
I assume it's like an exaggeration kind of thing.
You know, it's actually, I always think it's kind of interesting to watch a country that culturally we are really close to, like Japan, talk and do a story involving characters from another country that we are also really culturally connected to. So, but it's a different relationship. Japan has a different relationship with Russia than the U.S. has with Russia. So it's interesting to watch a story from Japan talk about Russia and like have Russian things in it from their perspective, and, you know, like, than the American, like, Russian perspective. Yeah, okay, go ahead, Noah. Open the gates.
Yurio, who has white hair partway through, says that he will be the ice tiger. And I learned that Russia has tigers, and they're orange, and their camouflage couldn't possibly work because they're orange. But there are tigers in Russia, and I was excited.
That is exciting.
Russian tigers. It is a thing.
Why are they orange? I don't know.
They moved, you know. It was boring down south. Very cold up north, though. Yeah.
Ice tiger.
But okay, so any thoughts? I actually looked. I don't know if there are ice tigers. There might be ice tigers. I couldn't find them. There's snow leopards.
Jake.
White tiger.
There are ice tigers. Don't you take my dreams from me, Jake.
Right,
tread softly.
So many ice tigers.
They call them white tigers or bleached tigers, is a pigmentation variant of the Bengal tiger. I don't know where they live, though.
Yeah. Maybe somewhere in Russia.
Why waifus and best girls? Do we have waifus or best girls?
Oh, that's a tough one. That is definitely. Who's your best girl candidate? Was it
King JJ.
King
I
JJ?
mean, I wasn't convinced initially, but when he came back, I was like, okay, yeah, I can do this.
Uh-huh.
He's best girl. Honestly, waifu, maybe Victor. Victor is very supportive the entire time.
Victor is incredibly supportive.
Noah's on my brain frequency, so that's all I got to say.
I don't know. The poodle was pretty awesome.
I was thinking the poodle too, right?
Oh, I know.
I also got really confused at part because I didn't realize he didn't have the poodle with him, and then they pulled Kleenex out of the stuffed poodle, and I was like, are there Kleenex in the poodle?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, wait, why?
What's happening?
Right.
Actually, you know what? For waifu, I'm gonna have to go with the Thai skater, the Taiwanese skater, who very excited, very like focused, really seems like a really solid person, has some aspirations for the future, knows they're not going to be skating forever, really like balanced.
Shit, man, you chose a waifu with a plan. Oh god. In 20 years, I'm gonna be like, oh, the waifu you chose
and
was
he's
so
got
good.
he's got the reputation to carry through those business plans too. So
that's fair.
All right. So any final thoughts on Yuri on Ice? Mandy, you have any final thoughts on Yuri on Ice?
I highly enjoyed it. I thought that it was, the artistic side of it was beautiful. I would watch another season. Yeah, it was good. I think there are some things they definitely could work on, and I think they will. So just seeing it go from the first half to the second half, how far they came, I'm excited to see what comes next.
Yeah. Do we know if there's gonna be a second season? It does feel like a well-rounded story. Like it doesn't seem like.
It feels like it can be.
It could, because there's a future, like technically, that they have talked about. But so would I watch a second season? You know, maybe. If I watch the intro and the intro's as good as it was in the first season, I would. And if it's better, I would start it at the very least and see where it's going.
I think that's about how I feel.
Noah, do you have any final thoughts on Yuri on Ice?
Is good. I like it. They're ice skaters and they skate, and I don't really get it, but they get points, and it's cool.
Yeah, interesting. I guess my final thoughts would be it's interesting. I feel like writers are going for a lot of different subtle relationship things. You could probably spend a lot of time thinking about what the different characters' relationships to each other are and what that means. Lulled in the middle, got pretty good by the end. By the end, I was watching the competition. I was going, is it, you know? And I will say that at the end, I was thinking, well, I don't really think it's going to matter whether he wins or loses, and I think it could go either way. And he ended up losing. So I was like, yeah, that's fair. Like, that makes sense. Like, it works, and it would have worked either way. But I was sitting there going, I kind of hope he wins.
Right.
So it did get me. Yeah, I'm kind of glad he didn't. It makes sense. No.
What did we want to watch next week?
Yes, this was what I wanted to talk about too. We have a next week, and next week we're going to talk about an anime. We had a couple of things up on the possibilities list. Mandy, what do you think? You have anything you want to pitch out there?
One of the ones I wanted to see that looked really good at the AMVs was A Place Further Than the Universe.
Oh my god, that's gotten a lot of people saying that it's great. A Place Further Than the Universe is a bunch of high school girls, and they're like, let's go to Antarctica, and then they go to Antarctica, and then they're like, we're here and it's cold and we're following our dreams.
Right.
Interesting.
A lot of good reviews. That's
I heard as much good stuff about it as I heard about Yuri on Ice.
Okay. Fair.
Okay. So Place Further in the Universe. I know one of the other ones that one of the ones Noah was thinking about was go ahead.
Bakano.
Bakano.
Which I own. I've seen.
Mm-hmm. And I've watched a couple of episodes. Noah, of course, has seen it. I'd be more than willing to watch that.
It's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
It's reliable. We could also do something very classic, like kind of guaranteed good stuff if we went for like what's the one, Jake? The ones,
which one?
the ones something like.
Are you thinking a movie or are you thinking like an anime?
I'm
like,
thinking a series.
Bebop?
Like we could go Cowboy Bebop. We could that's incredibly safe. We know it's going to be good, or we could go with
We've all seen Cowboy Bebop.
We've all seen.
Everyone has seen Cowboy Bebop.
Everyone has seen Cowboy Bebop.
Or another classic like that I had been thinking about that I'd love to, because I haven't actually seen it. And it's just been on my list for ages. Is Samurai Champloo.
That's a great one. I've seen that one 3 times. I've rewatched that one.
There's also a lot of there's some interesting stuff we could look at in Trigun as well. Trigun's an old one.
That's a good one.
And there is also, because I want to fill up as much of our remaining time as possible with naming more anime.
That's.
We could do Kill la Kill.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to do.
And then Jesse could be a guest.
Yes. This is also a thing. Kill la Kill. I love Kill la Kill. That's a great show. That was a good one.
I'm just glad I didn't accidentally say Akame ga Kill, because I messed that up so much. And I have reservations about Akame ga Kill.
Okay, so here's the thing about Kill la Kill, isn't it? Is it 2 seasons?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's 2 seasons.
I think it's 2 seasons.
We have all seen Kill la Kill. It's a great one. I'd love to discuss it. So right now, on our docket, A Place Further Than the Universe, Bakano, Samurai Champloo, Trigun, and Kill la Kill. Those are pretty good.
Marked Bebop off already?
I marked Bebop off. I love Cowboy Bebop. It's a great show. I feel
classic.
like
Everyone's seen it.
It's classic. I don't think we shouldn't do it, because I think it's a really good show and it's a lot of wonderful elements in there, and it's a really, I think when you get something as iconic and as well done as Cowboy Bebop, it is worthwhile to take a look at and see what they are doing and see what the characters are doing in the story, because that's interesting and it can be helpful. I don't know if I want to do it right now, maybe a little bit later, because I definitely want to have a guest on for Cowboy Bebop. Now, this being said, if we do Kill la Kill, then we will definitely have a guest on, which would be Jesse, delightful human being who loves things like Kill la Kill. Samurai Champloo, I think I'd love to do that one as well. Is it 1 season?
Maybe.
No, I've seen it.
Maybe.
I own it. I think it's just 1 season.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's like 20-some episodes.
Okay. So
I own the whole thing, but it's on 1 disc. I don't know.
Okay.
26 episodes.
Oh, okay. See, yeah.
So you know what? I'm actually. I think I'm gonna say. I think I'm gonna say Kill la Kill for me. That'll be my vote.
Me too. That's my vote.
Mm-hmm.
I will follow the crowd and be peer pressured into this happily.
Everyone else wants it, Noah. Okay,
Yeah,
so Kill la Kill we're gonna do next week. That's October the 6th, the first week of October the 6th. We will be doing a review of Kill la Kill. We will also be having our first guest, which will be lovely. It's going to be Jesse. You don't know him? He's a friend of ours. He's a wonderful person.
A friend?
And yes, a very good
Someone's
friend.
going to have to tell him that next week at this time he's booked.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be fine. So we'll be doing Kill la Kill. If you want to watch it, I believe it's 2 seasons. Wonderful show. Lot of stuff to unpack there. Over the top. You know, I will say, if you're thinking about watching it, if you want to talk about it with us, it starts off kind of weird. You might be like turned off by how like ridiculous it is. Keep watching.
I think it has one of the best openers.
Yeah, the opener, it's fun and ridiculous, and it's so balanced. It doesn't go way off the deep end. It just works. The whole thing works. Go watch it. It's a wonderful show. And you can listen to it, talk along with us. So again, hey, thank you everybody for watching an Anime Story podcast. We've been talking about Yuri On Ice. Next week, October the 6th, we're going to be talking about Kill la Kill right here, 5 o'clock. Thanks for coming. Have a lovely day. Bye, guys.